has become a big event on the tourism calendar. The fourth wedding expo organized by Roraima Duke Lodge is scheduled for this weekend, April 13th to 15th. This annual event showcases Guyana's diverse culture through wedding tourism. I am Wendy Hermanstein, and with me, Shermaine Davis, Wedding Expo Coordinator, and Mr. Jerry Govile, Managing Director. Welcome to Close Up.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Before we talk about the concept of Wedding Expo, Mr. Govile, two major events, tourism events that is, are taking place or will be taking place simultaneously.
Well, you know, Wedding Expo is normally held in March, but we deliberately move Wedding Expo to coincide with the Sustainable Tourism Conference because we are so proud of Wedding Expo and its ability to showcase the diversity of Guyanese culture, the colors, you know, and the dress from our Armenians and Chinese and Portuguese and Indian weddings and African weddings and so on. So we thought it would make a very, very nice annex to the Sustainable Tourism Conference. And so on the last night, on the 15th, we expect to have an influx of the delegates to visit Wedding Expo.
From the altar to the magnificent Kaichur Falls is the theme for this year's Expo. Coordinator, what is unique about this event this year?
Our theme this year is different because the whole concept of wedding tourism, Wedding Expo, is to promote wedding tourism. And so from the altar to the magnificent Kaichur allows us to capitalize on that. To say, come to Guyana, we are offering a different product. Many persons ask, or many people I see have commented on our Wedding Expo in the newspapers and so on. And they're asking about what makes Guyana ready for wedding tourism as compared to sandals in Jamaica, Barbados, and so on. But what we're saying is that we have a lot of Guyanese, the diaspora living abroad, who are coming home and they want to get married here. They want to spend it with their family and friends. And so we're offering you different destinations, whether it's Our Point, Baganara, whether it's keeping it at a hotel, Princess Hotel, or Roraima, wherever it is, or going to Kaichur. We had Minister Frank Anthony who got married at Kaichur. So it's offering that experience to our visitors.
Let's talk some more about wedding tourism and the benefits. I know you alluded to some of the benefits, but let's get into it some more.
Wendy, we have weddings, for example, that are going to be happening later on this year, 200 and 300 people. There's a lot of Guyanese who come back home to get married, and with them come 200 people, 150 people. And when they come here, they use our hotels, they use our restaurants, they use our bars, our taxi, the craft centers, the gift centers, and they actually go on the tours. And some of them want to get married at Arrow Point, some of them want to get married at Kaichur Falls. Actually, Jeff De Silva is the person, the government official that got married at Kaichur Falls, and he set the trend. And so it creates an enormous economic activity. And in places like St. Lucia and Jamaica, they have hundreds of these weddings every year. And if you can understand it, every wedding may bring in 150 visitors, and you have 20 or 100 weddings a year, what it will do. But more particularly, I think Wedding Expo exposes a lot of our businesses in one place to people planning their weddings as well. And that is what makes Wedding Expo such a unique and great business opportunity for small businesses that come there to showcase their product.
And I suppose couples who are not who do not have a U.S. visa or a Canadian visa, they don't have to fly to Miami or to Ottawa, you know, to shop. Everything can be found.
But you know, it's quite interesting. A lot of people who came to Wedding Expo in the early stages, when they were planning their wedding, and they would make the comment, you know, that they were all planning to go overseas to shop for their weddings. And when the Wedding Expo in one place, so as a one-stop shop, venue, they were able to say, we did not know that there were people and there were stores and businesses in Guyana that really offered the kind of quality product to support weddings in Guyana. And so more and more people are coming on board. Disappointingly for us, we have people like Courts, for example, that are still not on board. But if you went to Jamaica, you will see that Courts is one of the big exhibitors at Wedding Expo because people need to look at their furnishings and so on. And insurance companies and the banks need to be there because for their mortgages and so on. But Wedding Expo actually has been bringing more and more people to the fore, and I think this year Wedding Expo is meant to be and slated to be the biggest ever so far.
Let's talk about some of those who are on board. And do you have wedding planners? You start with the wedding planners right to the wedding.
Actually, great. We have Chantels, who basically offer a variety. They offer where you can have your wedding. They offer the menu. They offer everything. You have people like Just Cakes. We do have an insurance company. We have Hand in Hand, who's also on board with us. We have, for a few years, we had Game Express. We have Superior Cakes. So a lot of the small businesses that we've had actually for the last couple of years are back on board with us because of the referrals and so on that they get. When we do a lot of cakes and so on at Roraima, even for events, so it's not just for the marriage, for weddings, this is for whether it's the bachelorette party, whether you're planning other events as well. So when you get to the Wedding Expo, you're able to view all these exhibitors in one place, but you're also able to get a package. And a lot of the exhibitors offer a discounted package, or we do a lot of the door prizes. Roraima actually offer a lot of a trip to Arrow Point for couples who are getting married or people who are, you know, and you have GT&T, who is our corporate sponsors, on board with us as well. And they're also capitalized on that and seeing that this is what is bringing forth tourism in Guyana, offering a different dimension for us beside ecotourism.
I think what is significant is that GT&T has been, from day one, one of the major supporters and sponsors of this Wedding Expo, and the Ministry of Tourism as well. They have been on board with us every year because I think, and surprisingly, there's still people who will make comments about that Guyana is not ready. Well, people who say that really have no idea what is happening. I mean, Roraima, for example, our entire company now is a large part of our business is tourism. And there are like 7,000 people going a year to Arrow Point Resort, and there are people now who are looking to come to Ghana to plan their weddings. The problem is that we face, Wendy.
What about the laws? Do we allow?
That's the problem. That's the problem. But the Minister of Tourism this year, at the launching of the Wedding Expo, made a commitment that that he will champion the changing of the laws to make sure that people could come to Guyana and get married within.
On a weekend and get married
well,
and leave.
Well, even if you live in Canada and you wanted to come back to Guyana, that you don't have to come to Guyana for 2 weeks, as the law requires, because you could go to St. Lucia and Barbados and Jamaica and get married. And we must understand that there are 800,000 Guyanese living overseas, and who they now have children and grandchildren who may very well just want to come back home to get married, and we must facilitate that. First of all, for the love of Guyana, for what they're doing, and then second of all, for the business opportunities it creates. And so we need to look at that. But from the Ministry of Tourism have been very supportive, and so was GT&T. I mean, they've been amazing.
4 years and counting, each year getting stronger. What are some of the success stories?
Karen Cakes.
Right. Karen Cakes is actually a perfect example, as well as Superior Cakes. These are some of the exhibitors that we've had with us from day one. And they would tell you about all the referrals they have had from Roraima, from people who've passed through the exhibition and so on. And when you look at the talent and the work of these exhibitors, of these cakes and so on that are produced, you're wondering, why am I even bothering to go online or to check to see where I can source these things or products and so on. So we have had a lot of positive feedback from these exhibitors. Recently, we had Superior Cakes. We had an article that was featured in the newspapers on them. And she said a lot of people call to find out where you're located, how do we get in contact, and so on. So it really did a good job for them.
You had the girl Kerry Wolford, who do, I think, makeup.
Yes.
And she's been very, very. She would also, from the time she first came last year to now, Their businesses have been really growing, and because of the exposure. But for me, more particularly, it's, Shemaine, when Shemaine was in the process of doing her master's, she went to do an internship at the Pegasus in Jamaica, and she saw the wedding expo happening in Jamaica. And she brought the concept back to the company and said that, this was something we should really do. So we did it. But what was significant about the difference between what was happening in Jamaica to what was happening in Guyana is you went to Jamaica and what you saw was the Christian wedding. When you came to Guyana, what you saw was an amazing array of colors and cultures.
Hindu,
So
Muslim.
our diversity made the Guyana Wedding Expo
Very
a
unique.
tourism spectacle, in the sense that one period in one place you could really see the diversity of the Guyanese cultures against what happened, even though the Jamaican Wedding Expo was very, very nice. But I think we took it to the next level here in Guyana.
But in Jamaica as well, it's marketed by the Jamaica Pegasus. It's not at a large scale as the Guy Expo. It's very intimate and so on. And you see a lot of the small businesses. In fact, we have people like King's Jewelry who've been on board with us as well from day one. And King's Jewelry also have given us their
endorsement about
right, about how the expo has really contributed to their business. And a lot of the other exhibitors as well, who are not as small, but you have people like Angie's, who caters for Indian weddings and so on. And they have basically been on board with us from day one. And you should see their booth. It's spectacular. And it gives you that variety and idea of how do I have an Indian wedding at another location beside your home or beside having it at your house and so on. So it offers that variety.
And then, of course, we need to touch on the photographers and the videographers.
Yes, we also have people like DreamWorks and so on, photography. So we actually have taken everybody into consideration. We have the lingeries and so on. Olympia Small, actually, who's also been on board with us, and she has helped us quite a lot with putting our fashion show together, because what we try to do is do a culture event. So we have a program for the 3 nights, and we start off with our opening ceremony and so on, and then we do a little entertainment. So we have a fashion display of a Christian wedding, an African Indian wedding, and so on. And we do a little bit of lingerie section, and so that they're able to display that.
Is this done every night, or is there a different show every night?
Well, there's a different show every night. And we try to do it for about an hour so that we give the designers and so on that mileage to display their clothing. We've had people like Collections who get their dresses and so on from catalogs or from David Bridals and so on. Chantel's as well. You have Amanda's Bridal and so on. So we have quite a few of those.
Yeah. When we first started, what been happening, Wendy, you talk about the growth of Wedding Expo. In Jamaica, for example, they're like 20 years old. They had it, this is their 20th anniversary. We are 4 years old. And we have seen the numbers grow in the first year. I think for the 3 nights we had maybe 1,500 people. I think last year we had close to 5,000 or 6,000. And it's growing every year. But what is important that Wedding Expo is not a Guy Expo.
Right.
It is a very industry specific, and we are seeing the growth, and we're seeing the interest both from the exhibitor standpoint, and last year we sent a contingent of our staff to view the Wedding Expo in Jamaica as well, to learn what they were doing, and now there's a lot of Caribbean exhibitors who are looking to come to Guyana to join Wedding Expo to exhibit their product as well.
Indeed, wedding tourism. Let's talk about the time, location, entrance fees.
The great thing is the Wedding Expo has been free for the last 4 years. We're looking at next year charging an entrance fee so that it allows us to cover back some of the costs and so on, because while we have an exhibitor's fee and so on, that is just, we are basically subsidizing that, and along with our sponsors and so on. And so next year we're looking at charging a small fee for that. But this year it's free. It's from the 13th to the 15th, as you have said. And we start from 1 o'clock to 10 p.m. So it gives people time to come out of their house during the day, and for those people after work and so on, to come in the evenings as well. So it's good.
And this is happening where?
It's actually opening on Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon.
At Duke Lodge. There's going to be an opening ceremony at 6 o'clock at Duke Lodge.
And this is right opposite the American Embassy.
The American Embassy. I think Duke Lodge is famous in its own right. And Duke Lodge is actually a wonderful facility. It's very regal with, there's wonderful, the grounds. And when you see the way Duke Lodge is transformed as an exhibition site, we are actually also thinking to do a tourism expo so that all of the tourism businesses will, maybe we're probably looking to do it in the month of the Tourism Awareness Month in November. Where we're going to have a tourism expo. All of the hotels and restaurants and resorts will set up their booths, specific, industry specific. So we're looking to do that as well.
I know time is short, but someone viewing this program and would like to get on board. Any possibilities?
Wow. We're just about booked for the exhibition, but we'd like to have persons who would still like to come down, and we can always find space for you to showcase your product and so on, because while Ms. Hermanstein, this is about promoting small businesses, it's about giving them the opportunity as well to showcase their products, as well as having people come in to see all these products and services offer under one roof, and you get discounts and so on as well. But we would also like to have people on board who still want to come showcase their products. It's not a problem. They can come down to Duke Lodge and they can ask for myself or Deidre.
Okay, just to remind you, Wedding Expo is happening this weekend at Roraima Duke Lodge, and that's located in Kingston. Admission is absolutely free, and you can find everything from a pin to a limousine at Wedding Expo. So if you're planning your wedding, then this weekend, Roraima Duke Lodge is the place to be.
Thank you.
And of course, the Sustainable Tourism Conference is also happening on the 15th. So Guyana will be bursting with tourism on this weekend.
And it's actually very timely, Wendy, because Wedding Expo exposes all of the different regions as well, because people will be able to say that they want to go either to get married in the Rupununi, or they would like to go and do their honeymoon in the Rupununi. And I just spent the last weekend in the Rupununi actually, and listen, there's Kumu Falls, there's the Makamaka Falls, there's the Rupununi is just magical. And if you see the development that is happening in the Rupununi, I've been going to Rupununi for 35 years, and you have the river. On one side there's Brazil, and the next side there's Guyana. And at one time Brazil was a highlight, but now you go to Rupununi and all the Brazilians are coming over to Guyana. And you go to places like Maria and Bartica and Matthews Ridge now, and you see it's just bursting with energy. And there's so many people that want to come back home to visit, come back home to get married, come back home to invest. And so wedding tourism that is being promoted now will help encourage more and more people to come back home. Tourism is such an important component of our economic development today. What is happening at the airport, the expansion of the airport, the building of the Marriott, all those things are meant to catapult Guyana to the next level. And a lot of times when you do the kind of planning, you don't plan for now. You have to plan for what is happening.
That's right.
And marketing of Guyana has been one of the weak points, I believe, in our country history. And I'm glad to see the new minister acting, Irfan is talking. He's talking tourism all the time, and he's talking with the marketing. And he is very supportive. He's very supportive of the regatta in Bartica, of the rodeo in the Rupununi, and he's very supportive of the Wedding Expo. And he's going to be there. So we are very, very excited to be part of that whole process.
I am glad you mentioned the development taking place at Letem, and I'm wondering if there are any plans in the future to move Wedding Expo around, because given our geographical location, it might be difficult for even the Brazilians to come to Georgetown, the people at Letem. I'm sure the people at Rose Hall, for instance, or Bartica, they would like to experience this unique wedding tourism.
Well, I think the regions are places that people could plan their weddings to go. But I think rather than going to the Caribbean to shop or go to Miami to shop, when you come to the Wedding Expo, it is a place where you have the businesses that are displaying their product here in the city. And Eventually, if we went to example to the Rupununi, it is to get the businesses in the Rupununi to demonstrate how they are equipped to support the wedding expo. So that is possible, but I think immediately now, it's more to do with identifying those places as places where people could go and actually hold their weddings. People could actually go on honeymoons and visit as part of their visit to Guyana. And you know, Wendy, there was a time when it was difficult, when you had no telephone contact, when you had no road contact and air contact. If you went to the Rupununi, the Latham airport is now like a little busy, it's a buzzing hub. Every day there are like 4 or 5 flights into the Rupununi. There are vehicles coming through. Ordinary cars are now driving to the Rupununi. Yes. It speaks a lot to the condition of the road and the condition, and it speaks a lot to the opening up of Guyana. So that when people visit now, they don't only have to go to Kaituro Falls. Like I said, there's the Kumu Falls in the Rupununi, and I didn't see you guys carry it, but actually President Ramatar actually went and visit the Kumu Falls, which I think was a first, and we have magnificent footage. I believe NCN was there, but it really showcases the beauty of Guyana, the hidden beauty, because people talk about Kaituro Falls all the time.
No,
we didn't know about the Kumu Falls, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Definitely. So, before we end this interview, it would be remiss of me if I don't bring you back the concept. I know we talked about Jamaica and we touched on various aspects, but it's your baby, which you would have nurtured somewhat.
You know, Ms. Hermanstein, Wedding Expo has been exciting from the beginning. When I went to Jamaica, and I was at the Jamaica Wedding Expo, it was exciting to be there. It was exciting to see this hotel showcasing all these small businesses, as well as the insurance companies, courts, and so on. But the effort that was put into it, to design the booths, the pride and so on that was taken to package the product, to display their brochures and so on. So when I came back to Guyana, I think it was more of incorporating that concept into our product. How do we market tourism from a different angle? And so with putting Wedding Expo together, with being at Roraima, allowed me to bring a lot of people together, to bring a lot of the exhibitors and so on board with us, and to work as a team to display all these products and services that we have to offer. And to say that, you know what, it's not just wedding tourism, but it allows us to market all aspects of tourism in Guyana. I look at Antigua, for example, that was putting on a Wedding Expo, and their whole concept, Antigua is a small island compared to us, and we have so much more to offer. And so it is about tourism on a larger scale, and how exactly do we get things done. You know, I see a lot of the comments and people talk about the garbage in Guyana and all the things that we need to do. Yes, I agree. There's a lot to be done, a lot of work and a lot of effort to be put into it. But tourism will move forward so long as you have a positive attitude, and people that are on board, and the people who are in the private sector as well as the public sector work together to get those things done. And so if we don't come up with initiatives to create the environment, to create this product, and to make an inventory of all that Guyana has to offer, then that is the only way we're going to move forward with tourism. And so if we be pessimistic and think of all the things we still need to get done, then we're not going to get anywhere. So Wedding Expo for me is great. It's an exciting project, and I'm able to work with a lot of the teams and so on at Roraima and a lot of the exhibitors in putting it together.
Excellent. And I'm tempted to say tourism specialist. Because most of you would know Shemaine completed her master's, and then she did a specialist 1-year program in the United States.
Well, you know, I'm hoping to be able to contribute back, especially to the University of Guyana, in the area of tourism. I spoke to Mr. Arnon Adams from Stabroek News, who was asking me all about this experience. And I was telling him that I had a great experience at the University of Guyana, but I think there's also a lot of work still to be done with combining it with a practical experience of visiting resorts and understanding the working knowledge of tourism as compared to a theoretical view of it.
Good, thank you. All right, we are almost out of time, but of course I'm going to give both of you, starting with Mr. Govaya, an opportunity to make closing remarks.
Well, you know, Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time here, and to say that Roraima entire group of services, because we offer the planes, we offer the boats, we offer the resort, and so Roraima is very, very geared as people book their weddings and they decide they're coming into Guyana. We actually meet them at the airport, put them in our buses, bring them into our hotel, host their weddings at Duke Lodge, and then fly them to the Kiteshore Falls or take them to Arrow Point for their weddings. So we really, over the last 18 years, and in fact this year is our 20th year anniversary of Roraima, I think we've been able to finally complete all of the pieces of the puzzle. And today Roraima is very, very geared to be part of this exciting future of Guyana and with development of tourism.
Thank you. Charmaine?
Well, Ms. Hermanstein, I would like to take the opportunity to thank GT&T, who's our corporate sponsor, for being on board with us, and to thank all the exhibitors who've been on board as well. And for those persons who are coming down to the Wedding Expo, please come down and come and have a great time. Come and see all the packages and the discounts and so on that we have to offer.
And over 60 booths will be showcased at this year's Wedding Expo under the theme from the
altar to the magnificent
Kiteshore. I'm Wendy Hermanstein, and with me were Charmaine Davis, Wedding Expo Coordinator, and Mr. Jerry Govaya, Managing Director of Roraima Group of Companies.